Friends, as always, welcome back to Continues to Tick. Here we are once again for another monthly dividend portfolio review, now for April 2023. And the time continues to tick. I mean, that's the one guarantee in this life, right? Is that time will continue to pass. Might as well leverage that time, build that dividend portfolio, continue to see that compound effect, that exponential growth. If you've been in this journey for a while, friends, on your own personal dividend journey, you know it takes time, but it is worthwhile. It will take some time to kind of push that ball up the hill, but once you get to a certain point in height, it only gets easier because, once you get to the other side of the hill, the ball starts rolling faster and faster. That's what we call that snowball effect. And if you've barely started this journey, you're in your early stages, and you're maybe a little discouraged, just know that will also be you. For me, friends, you'll see, my portfolio is not super significant in size, but it's noticeable. But it did take a while to get here. It also takes, quite a bit of funding. It really depends on your schedule. If you fund quicker, you'll get there quicker. It's a balance. It's a teetering effect. You don't want to overswing on one way, invest too much, and then sacrifice your day-to-day too much. It's a balance, right? Invest, but also live, because time continues to pass. I call it one of the world's greatest conundrums in the financial world, just in life in general. How do you plan to live for today, but also simultaneously try to plan to live for tomorrow? Or I guess I should say, for a better tomorrow, right? That's the idea. And I think that's why a lot of us make some financial sacrifices today, so we have a more comfortable future tomorrow, next year, a decade from now, at the point of retirement. I know the majority of us, I would imagine, you don't want to work forever. I know I don't. I see often so many people ahead of me not really thinking about their financial future, their financial nest egg, their retirement, until they're going to retire. And by that point, friends, honestly, it's too late. It's way too late. If you're young, if you're in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s, find a strategy that works for you. Build up that nest egg, leverage time, and use it. Use it because you have it. Don't make that mistake that other people make, and watch it over time just compound. And dividend investing is perfect for this. One of the best strategies to leverage time. And hopefully I can paint that picture and continue to paint that picture over time, because I'm going to be here. At the moment, every 2 weeks I'm here. I haven't, lost track of the journey. I continue to do this, and I'll be here every 2 weeks until we boost that up once again. But friends, it's good to see you if you're here. My dividend portfolio journey continues. And as you can see here, we're now in April. And as always, like these portfolio reviews, I'm going to tell you how much I fund my portfolio and how often, just in case you're new here, or just as a reminder for the people that have been here. I'm also going to go over my sector allocations and percentages, just kind of briefly show some of my best and worst performers per sector. I always find it interesting to do this on a monthly recap. I'm also going to share with you my current number of holdings, as well as my dividend portfolio's current yield, and what is my expense ratio. Some people like to know some of the details. I know when I first started my dividend portfolio, that's all I wanted to know. I wanted to know in comparison, or also for me to try to figure out and formulate how it is that I want my own personal portfolio to look like. It's helpful, I know. Another thing I'll cover is my current short and long-term plans for the portfolio. Some of it, it doesn't change too often, but some things do happen. I mean, this is life. Changes must be made. Life gets updated from time to time, does it not? And at the very end, friends, I'm also going to share with you how much my dividend portfolio currently pays me in dividends today. And that's honestly one of my most favorite parts. At this point, I just take a look at that on the monthly frequency. Every month I try to see where I'm at. And of course, it continues to grow every month. This is a dividend portfolio after all. One of my favorite strategies, if not the favorite strategy. I think it's the best, at least for my lifestyle. This and real estate. And I haven't gone into real estate yet, but if you've been here, you know that that's my plan. Eventually, I do want to get into real estate. But for now, the markets haven't been too favorable here in California. And I'm glad that I started a dividend portfolio quite soon after I entered the workforce at the age of 24. I'm not going to be 28 this year. And here we are, friends. Let's get started. But first, I just want to share with you 2 easy hands-off tips to building up a dividend portfolio that I've, realized over time and, continuing, initially starting with this strategy. What are 2 easy ways that you can kind of build this up? And the first one, friends, I would say is automatic deposits. It's super, super simple. If you're truly trying to build a dividend portfolio, you have a good source of income or even just a source of income, right? You work a 9 to 5, you work 8 to 5, you work Monday through Friday or whatever your RDOs actually are. You go clock in, you clock out, you have a source of income. Maybe you work for yourself and that is your source of income. The source of income is your water source. The dividend portfolio is the plant that you planted, or it's a plant that is already actively growing. Just like any plant, you got to feed it water, right? Without the water, it's not going to grow. The income is the source of water. The automatic deposits is the frequency, the scheduling of this water going to that plant. In this case, it's the money going to your dividend portfolio. It is the oxygen, it is the lifeline. If you don't make deposits to your dividend portfolio, if you don't add money, it's not going to grow. And one of the easiest things, friends, in this life is that it's just easy to forget. We get busy, life happens, we prioritize some things, some weeks, some months, and before you know it, we look back and we just never made any deposits to our dividend portfolio. And it's not that we don't have the money. Oftentimes we do. But if we make those automatic deposits, you set it up. So every single week is my preference. You could do every single month. But you set up these deposits, this monthly funnel to go into your dividend portfolio on the automatic frequency. You don't even think about it anymore. Trust me, it's worth it. I mean, if I had a sprinkler system, right, you don't have to worry about, oh, when am I going to water my lawn? It's the same thing with the dividend portfolio. And if you have a lawn and you care about it, maybe growing up as a child, you saw your parents take care of their lawn if you don't have one. If you don't water your lawn on a regular basis during the summer, it's going to dry out. It's not going to be providing you the result that you want to see. It's actually going to make you work twice as hard later on when you realize all the grass dried up or your dividend portfolio hasn't grown in, a year, 2 years, however long it is. Don't just create a dividend portfolio and forget about it. I mean, honestly, you can forget about it, but only if you have an automatic deposit, because now you really truly don't have to worry about it. You give it a lifeline. Its source of income is going in. So just remember that. It's a really big tip I give for you guys. Even if it's $25, $50 a week, $10 a week, and over time try to increase your income so then you can increase the funnel amount. That is key. Another hands-free tip for building up a dividend portfolio, and I say hands-free because it's not something that you have to actively do for your dividend portfolio, but it's just something you have to understand and do once. For example, automatic deposits, you do that once, don't even worry about it anymore. It's hands off. And then this next one, friends, understand fully the reasoning why you started. You got to understand this dividend portfolio is going to be a long journey, very long, decades. If you actually do it right, that is you leveraging time. It's supposed to be decades long. It's supposed to be. Trust me. And you want it to be that way. Utilize time if you're young, because when you're young, you don't have to invest as much, and it compiles over time. It adds up. It exponentially grows. You will truly see the result over time. So understand this when you start your dividend portfolio, because it's so easy to get discouraged. It's so easy to, try to look every single week or every single day at your dividend portfolio and, maybe look at it and say, hey, it's not growing as quickly as I want it to. It's not providing me as many dividends as I want it to. And meanwhile, you're looking at, the next growth stock just soar, and you miss your opportunity in that sector or in that stock or in that holding. But you have to understand, friends, this is a very, very long play, and it provides a good sense of comfort while you're on this ride. For me, I've already played with penny stocks. I've played with crypto. I've played with hot, stocks. And, they're great if you ride the ride, but when you stay on the ride too long and then you ride it all the way down, or you're just on the ride to the elevated stock price, psychologically it does start to mess with you. It's an up and down cycle. For me, I like to stay even keel. I like to think of time and leverage it, the slow and steady approach, the boring approach. For me, friends, I like money. That's boring. I used to not. But now when you have so many other things going on in your life, like relationships, you're trying to advance in your career, you have hobbies, you have just all these things that you're trying to incorporate into the balance of this conundrum of life. The last thing you want to worry about is your financial area. You don't want to worry about it. And if you're like me, you want to be even keel, you want a boring strategy that works, and you have the time. Dividend Portfolio is one of the best for that. All those slots get marked with the Dividend Portfolio, but you have to understand the full reason as to why you started, because it's easy to get discouraged and it's easy to want to give up and it's easy to lose motivation and ultimately lose momentum. One of the easiest things to do in this life, friends, is start something and then stop and then start again and then stop. Don't do that. That's why these are two great tips. Understand that it's going to be a long road. Set those automatic deposits and you're chilling all the way until retirement. Everyone else around you may be stressing about money, and you just know when you started your dividend portfolio in your 20s and your 30s, maybe by the time you reach your 50s, late 40s, you look at your portfolio and you're like, man, I'm so glad I did that. Now I'm going to get paid $30,000 in dividends in my retirement, in addition to my extra retirement, whether it be a pension or a 401k, whatever it is, rental properties. That's the goal, friends. Don't get discouraged. And I'm going to be here right next to you. We got time. And as we make our way, friends, here we are once again, as always, in the Jesse's Cash Flow Portfolio. It is my dividend portfolio from the beginning of time. And if you don't know when that was on July 20th of the year 2020, during the time when the stock market soared, post that crash or that dip during COVID. I thought I missed the boat. I thought I missed it. I was like, oh, well, I got to get in the game. And that's when I started my portfolio. And if you look at the graph here, value over time, clearly, I didn't miss any boat. There's never a wrong time to begin. But there's always a wrong time to just never start. You got to be in the game to actually be involved. And that's what I did. I just started it, created a funnel, set my automatic deposits, and here we are, almost 3 years later, at $66,431.25. And even though I thought I missed the boat, here we are with a return of 19.02%, which equates to a total gain of $6,539. And if you look closer here, friends, this is exactly why you want to be a dividend investor. Market gain is only $3,348, but my all-time earned dividends is $3,191. And combined, that's how I get the $6,000. And combined, that's how I get the 19% return. That is why you become a dividend investor, because the markets haven't been the greatest lately, but you get paid dividends, and the dividends continue to get paid out. I thought during this whole time, maybe at least one of the companies, one of the holdings that I currently have in my portfolio would stop paying a dividend or decrease a dividend. And that hasn't been the case. It's been even keel, slow and steady, just continuing. And that's how I like it. And if we move down below here, friends, if you are interested to see what is in my pie, what is in my chart here, I always put a link in my description box down below to sharing my pie. You can click on that if you're curious to know. But otherwise, here we are in my sector allocations. Let's set it up by gains. So the best gain right now, the best return that I got is in my energy sector at 127.21%. It's been killing it for a while, but this one, some moments it's doing great, others it's doing not so hot, but that's how I overall feel regarding my portfolio in general. I don't get too high, I don't get too low. I have a lot of confidence in it. I have it very diversified per each sector, per holdings. Even when my portfolio does poorly, it usually follows the entire market. And then usually when it performs well, again, it does tend to follow the overall market. But on top of that, I get paid dividends anyway, regardless. If my portfolio is in the red, I still get paid dividends. If you're a dividend investor, that will be the case for you. And it looks like tech is my next biggest return at 68.98%, followed by consumer discretionary, and it kind of goes on and on. We do have a couple red holdings here. Overall, we have healthcare at 6.49% loss, and then communications as a loss, and then real estate, actually my biggest loss, of 17.37%, which I guess I'm not too surprised. If you've been following real estate for a while, you'll understand that the markets have been quite shaky. I've been keeping an eye out on Zillow, and for the most part, there was a good period over the last 2 years, last year or so, when the housing market was booming. Almost every single week, the housing prices were going up, and every new house listed was more expensive than the new one, or than the old one. But here we are. It's taken a hit. And just to show you here, for example, when I click on my sector allocations, you can see what I hold. For example, I hold I hold Avalon Bay, I hold American Tower Core, S6, and then DLR. And it looks like DLR is my biggest loss in here, and O is actually still hanging on. Interesting, right? And just to briefly show you here my activity section, just so I can remain transparent, I go into this deeper and more transparent in my, my second bi-weekly dividend video, the one that's more of like a podcasty format. But just to remain transparent, every single one of these green payouts here is a dividend payout. And this is what you always want to see. And if you don't know if you want to be a dividend investor, you're unsure, this is what it's about. Is literally looking at all these payments just continue to come in. Some are $15, some are $12, and it just continues and continues. I also have a drip activated. If you've been curious, every single payment that I get in dividends, it goes right back into the portfolio. I've been dripping ever since I started this portfolio, which I don't mention often enough, but that is a key, definitely. And as you can see, here's my $100 that I invest every single week, every single Friday, automatic. I don't even think about it. And just to continue moving forward, friends, this is where a lot of the data lies here for my portfolio. As you can see right here, my portfolio just sees cash flow, and my current number of holdings is 51. If you have any questions on that, reach out to me. I can always explain it. And as you can see, my dividend yield, if you're curious, is 3.129%. And it's exactly where I want it to be. Like I've said before, I'm pretty comfortable between 2.8 and maybe 3.3, 3.2. That is usually my good zone. And as the portfolio increases or decreases, depends how the markets are doing, the dividend yield will either go up or it'll go down. And if you're curious what my expense ratio is, it's 0.01%, fairly low. And for some of my short and long-term plans, just as a reminder, for my long-term plan, I want to retire by the age of 50. I want to retire with a $1 million, if not multi-million dollar dividend portfolio. I want to retire with my pension from the state if I can just hang on and stay golden handcuffed and just kind of wait, put my time in and get that pension at the end. That'd be great. That would take staying for, from 24 all the way to the age of 50 or 52. And man, if you can stay that long with one employer, That's a long time. But you hear it often, people who work for the military, people who work for the federal government or the state government, they get that pension at the end, and it's just worth it. So that's what I'm trying to have. So my idea is to have this pension, also have this dividend portfolio, real estate, by the time I'm 50, 52, and truly have more than enough money than I potentially even need, and live comfortably. Some people talk about fat fire, or just, slim fire, or however they want to say it, but I want a fat fire, friends. Straight up, just to be honest. I want to have a nice car, I want to have a nice house in a nice area. I want to live comfortably, and I want the fruits of my labor to be there by the time I retire, because I had all my eggs in a row. I thought about this way before, in my 20s, in my 30s, in my 40s, and this is just the result of all that planning. That is what I want. And if you're young, friends, I recommend think about your future. It will arrive. If you're here, and if you're not here, then I guess it doesn't matter anyway. But at least you would have planned, right? Just in case it did happen to arrive. And as far as my short-term plans, right now I'm investing $100 every single week, which is about $400 every month into the dividend portfolio. I do eventually want to get back to my $500 every single week frequency amount. I loved investing at that pace. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I grew this portfolio so quickly. Over 2, not even 3 years yet. I do want to get back to that. But like I've said before, I'm saving all that extra money in a high yield savings account, trying to build up a cash reserve to buy my first rental property. I'm 27, going to be 28 this year, and hopefully by the age of 30, as part of my short-term plan, I'll be able to get my first rental property. Me or my partner, whoever can get it first would be great. And we'll see how that plays out. Another thing I'm currently doing is I'm trying to increase my income. I started as a floor nurse, and now I'm working my way into becoming a supervisor. And it's a challenge. That's one of the things that really also keeps me busy and makes me feel uncomfortable. But growth will continue to feel uncomfortable. I need to do this, get this experience, so I can ultimately truly get that one gig that I really want, that will increase my flexibility, give me a better gig overall, and increase my income substantially. And I'm trying to line myself up in my career for that position. But even, I guess, if I become a supervisor, it does increase my income, even in the short term. So that's what I'm working on, friends. And of course, personal development, personal growth, working on my relationships, my health, my inner peace, my mindset, everything. You should do the same. There's no loss to improving yourself. And friends, let's make our way into the div tracker. It's going to be the one thing that a lot of us do want to know, is how much do I make in dividends? How much does this portfolio pay me in dividends, I guess I should say. But as you can see, this is the div tracker app, and it says $66,429, and it's pretty much the same. If you look at my buying power there on the right, subtract that from my Jesse's cash flow portfolio total, and it will be practically the same. This is an app that I've been using since the beginning of the portfolio, just to keep a track of my dividends, my total dividend payouts. It's a good app. I'm not sponsored by it or anything, but it's just one that I've used and I haven't changed. But let's take a look. As you can see, the annual dividend income, $2,033.18. So we've grown since the last time, since our last monthly review. And if you break that down into a monthly, it's $169.43. If you break it down into daily, it's $557, which is pretty respectable. Not too bad. And then as for the yield here, 3.23%. So a little bit of a discrepancy compared to M1 Finance, which was 3.129, I believe. So here we are at 3.23. So not too bad. It's still within the range that I'm comfortable with. And either way, I'm okay with that. But that's going to be it, friends. This video has been, I don't know if it's longer than I normally plan it to be, but I only make them every 2 weeks, so they will tend to be longer. As always, friends, I will see you in 2 weeks. That is my new frequency. And just know you're not alone. This journey will continue. I will continue. And I hope you will also continue on your dividend journey. And just know, the confidence happens over time, the comfort and knowing your portfolio will survive anything happens over time. Just plan it right. Take a lot of time when you first start and really methodically select your holdings, really methodically think about what the bigger picture is, and hold on to that. Hold on to that long-term image, because you will at times want to get discouraged. You're going to see it. You're going to see all these things just kind of pop up and soar, and you're going to wonder why you didn't hop on. But just remind yourself that you're thinking of the bigger picture. You want to live a life where you don't have to worry about your finances, and psychologically you'll be even keel from the point you start to the time you retire. And just know, it takes time, but time is what you have. I'll see you on the next one, friends. As always, take care.